Right now at 5:30, we're tracking the latest on Lexington's fourth homicide of the year. The latest from police just ahead.
Also on WKYT this morning, the president gave his final State of the Union speech last night, and coming up, we have reaction from those in attendance.
And it is the last day to buy your Powerball ticket. We'll tell you how to get one for free coming up.
This is WKYT This Morning.
Good morning from WKYT. Welcome in. Good to have you with us. A cold start to the morning out there. I'm Bill Bryant.
And I'm Rebecca Smith. You may want to layer up because it is one of those cold days. You know, we fought it off for a long time, but it's finally here.
It is, and the temperature continues to drop this morning. We want to check in with meteorologist Micah Harris. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. I want to show you this across town. We still have some fresh snowpack in the far northern zones where you did not get the sunshine, where you actually got some shade. We still have some snow there, here and there. So it's made these temperatures much colder than what they should be. 7 degrees now in Florence, that's in far northern Kentucky, up toward Covington and Cincinnati. You get into Lexington and we're at 12 degrees. Mountain Parkway around 12 degrees, and Frankfort coming in just above 10 degrees. We get into the afternoon, 27, off into the evening time. It doesn't really fade that much as what you would think after a day of 27. The reason being is today, get the winds out of the northwest. Tomorrow we get the winds out of the south, and that's going to help us out big time as we go through tomorrow's forecast. This add about 20 degrees to it, and that's where we'll be tomorrow. So a good swing of temperatures. I'll show you that in further detail coming up.
All right, thank you. See you shortly.
Well, this morning we are tracking the latest on a homicide investigation in Lexington. Investigators were called out to the McDonald's on Russell Cave Road around 9:30 last night. This after employees reported hearing gunshots in the restaurant's parking lot.
Already the fourth homicide of the year in Lexington. When the police got there, they say they found 23-year-old Timothy Brown in his car with several gunshots. Brown was rushed to the hospital, but he died shortly after arriving. Let's go to WKYT's Mark Barber, joining us now from the scene with the latest. Mark?
Good morning, Bill. Police this morning said that they are checking all the businesses in the area to see if they have any surveillance video of this deadly shooting. They say they're really hoping to find something that will explain why 23-year-old Timothy Brown Jr. was shot in this McDonald's parking lot. Now, police found this 23-year-old around 9:30 last night after several employees at the fast food restaurant called police, saying that they heard several gunshots and that a vehicle sped off. Now, police say that Brown was behind the wheel of that car. We're told he crashed into a tree that was in the driveway of this McDonald's. Investigators say when they got here, they found him with multiple gunshot wounds in the driver's seat of that vehicle. They say he was taken to UK hospital in critical condition, but the coroner tells us that shortly after that, he died. Now, this is not the first time that police have been called to this McDonald's here at the intersection of Russell Cave and New Circle Road. The night before Brown was murdered, a vehicle in the drive-thru here was shot, possibly by a pellet gun. Now, this morning, investigators have not said whether those two possible shooting cases are related. However, they are saying that they are still working to answer the two big questions in this murder case. That first being, why was Brown killed? And the second being, who killed him? Live in Lexington, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Yeah, questions that authorities have all too often been having to ask at this point early in the new year. Thank you, Mark. The man accused of killing a child in western Kentucky is expected to be back in court today. An Allen County grand jury indicted 38-year-old Timothy Madden on multiple charges, including murder, kidnapping, and rape. In November, investigators say Madden killed 7-year-old Gabby Doolin while she was at her brother's football game at Allen County Scottsville High School. Shortly after Gabby was noticed missing, police found her body in a pond behind the school. Madden will be arraigned in Allen County Circuit Court at 1 o'clock this afternoon.
Well, President Barack Obama travels to Omaha and Baton Rouge a day after touting his presidential achievements in this State of the Union address. While many Democrats characterize the speech as inspirational, some Republicans criticize the speech as being light on the issues. Weijia Zhang has reaction from Washington.
And that's why I stand here as confident as I have ever been that the state of our union is strong.
In his 7th and final State of the Union address, President Obama aimed to set his legacy and focus on the future.
The future we want. All of us want. Opportunity and security for our families, all that is within our reach.
The president spoke less about policy and more on changing Washington, admitting he failed to bring the parties together.
It's one of the few regrets of my presidency that the rancor and suspicion between the parties has gotten worse instead of better.
President Obama did not mention any GOP presidential candidates by name, but he warned against rhetoric over Islam.
When politicians insult Muslims, whether abroad or our fellow citizens, it's just wrong.
South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley gave the Republican response, echoing the president's calls to calm the anti-Muslim rhetoric.
No one who is willing to work hard, abide by our laws, and love our traditions should ever feel unwelcome in this country.
But the Republican governor did give a critical view of President Obama's record on the economy.
We're feeling a crushing national debt, a health care plan that has made insurance less affordable and doctors less available.
Reaction to the State of the Union from the campaign trail was swift, with Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump taking to Twitter, calling the president's speech here in Washington boring, slow, and lethargic. Texas Senator Ted Cruz, who opted to skip the speech, was in New Hampshire.
It was more of the same. It was, sadly, I think it was less a State of the Union than it was a state of denial.
Today, President Obama will head to Omaha to push the major themes of his address. Weijia Jiang, CBS News, Washington.
And Obama's final State of the Union wasn't the only thing making headlines. So was the controversial guest that one Ohio lawmaker brought to the address. Washington correspondent Kelly Meyer has the details on that.
Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan had just one ticket to give away to President Obama's final State of the Union address, and he gave that ticket to Kentucky Clerk Kim Davis, creating quite the stir just hours before the big speech. The congressman says he didn't realize the ticket ended up in Davis's hands. He says he gave the ticket to the Family Research Council, which then gave it to Davis. The infamous Rowan County clerk made headlines when she refused to issue marriage licenses following the Supreme Court landmark same-sex marriage ruling. Now she landed in the seats of one of the most important speeches of Obama's career. We talked with Jordan just hours before the speech, and he made no mention of his controversial guest. It was kept hush-hush until right before the president's speech. Reporting in Washington, I'm Kelly Meyer, WKYT.
Well, a Kentucky state senator says the cost of college tuition is getting out of hand, so he's trying to make it harder for state universities to raise tuition. Republican Senator Dan Syme, his bill would freeze tuition and fees at state universities for 4 years. After that, the universities would have to ask the General Assembly for approval to raise tuition.
It borders on criminal what these universities are doing with these kids.
In a statement, a University of Kentucky spokesperson said UK welcomes any discussion that would make college more affordable. He also said UK is working to reduce costs for students. Well, it is here once again. It feels like we're on replay. The largest lotto jackpot in the world up for grabs tonight.
And it's larger than it was, certainly. The Powerball jackpot has now swelled to $1.5 billion. But if you still don't have a ticket, you can get one today in some places for free. WKYT's Michelle Chamberlain is joining us live to explain that. Good morning, Michelle.
Yeah, Kentucky lottery officials will be handing out 375 free Powerball tickets here at this Kroger and Brandon Crossing. That'll happen today at 2 o'clock. Now, this is a part of officials' way of saying thank you to all the people across the state for buying Powerball tickets. They'll actually be handing out 1,500 tickets at 4 separate locations across the state. Now, total sales for Saturday night's drawing in Kentucky alone were close to $11 million. That's why officials say they want to say thank you to the people of the state. Now, this $1.5 billion jackpot is a new world record for any lottery jackpot game. The cash option is $930 million, and you can expect those numbers to just go up as we approach tonight's drawing. Tonight's drawing will be the 20th drawing since the last jackpot was hit on November 4th. And here's a neat tidbit for you. 78% of all possible numeric combinations for the game were played Saturday night, compared to just 5% on the November 4th drawing. And remember, you have until 10 o'clock tonight to buy your Powerball tickets for the $1.5 billion jackpot. And you can see tonight's drawing live right here on WKYT at 10:59. Live in Nicholasville, Michelle Chamberlain, WKYT.
Some excitement to be had. Thanks so much, Michelle. Powerball fever getting to a lot of us across the country, even Coach Cal getting in on the action. Some photos were taken on Sunday night at a marathon on Versailles Road in Lexington. I love that guy taking a selfie there. The clerks say that Coach Cal had his own numbers written down, and then he took pictures with them.
Can I have a picture with you, please, sir? He's a man of respect, so I had to give him a lot of respect, And we took a picture.
All right. You'll be able to watch tonight's Powerball drawing live at 10:59 p.m. right here on WKYT. He was excited. You could see the enthusiasm.
Especially when he saw Coach Cal. That's right. Well, our time this morning is 5:41, and let's check live drive traffic for you. See what's going on bright and early. It's been a little tough the last couple of mornings out there, and right now things are good. We have a cold temperature out there. That's going to be an issue for you. But as you see, the map is good and green with no reports of any major delays or problems right now. You will notice at the bottom of your screen we have more than 20 mostly delays, a couple of closings on there, so you want to check that out this morning. But most folks are off to school today.
And it's that time of year you want to have that little winter preparedness kit handy, I guess, in case something happens. We got to deal with it. It's just really cold.
Yeah, be prepared. Good idea. All right, a lot more news coming up on WKYT. Wednesday morning, everybody. We're rolling through this week, and more news is on the way.
Well, they are trained to serve and protect at all times. Coming up, despite being off duty, we'll show you how a National Guardsman used his training to save the day.
We have single digits in teens out there to start the day. We get into the afternoon in the 20s, but add about 20 degrees to that, and that's where we'll be tomorrow. Actually, a nice little swing of temperatures. I'll have that up next.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with meteorologist Micah Harris.
Yesterday we had the snow roll through, and then once the snow moved on through, boy, we had some gusty winds. You felt that yesterday. We even topped out right around 50 miles per hour in some spots. And that really ushered in that cold, cold Arctic air. You can feel it outside this morning. Once you step out the door, there's no doubt about it. It'll hit you right in the face. We're in the teens in most locations, but look at the up north. Single digits. We're at 7 degrees in Covington. Going to Harrison County, we're sitting there in Cynthiana, right around 6 degrees. Mount Olivet. Going to Nicholas County, we're sitting there, Carlisle, up 68, right around 8 degrees. So most of us in the teens, but some of us, they're in the single digits this morning. It's a cold start. There's no doubt about that. You'll have to defrost the windshield, too. It's not a big frost, but it's enough that maybe you might have to scrape your windshield in some spots. Just frigid conditions all day long. At least we have some sunshine. It'll be very chilly at 24 there by lunchtime, and then we get into the afternoon around 27 degrees. Still very chilly. You'll need a big coat all day long. Then let's talk about the next couple of days. Next couple of days we get a big warm up, actually in the 40s. That's out ahead of our next system. Now Friday is when you will feel this system roll on through. We'll have rain attached to that. In front of it, back behind that, you know how it works. The cold air moves in behind these fronts. And that's where the snow comes into play. So rain on Friday, not a lot of it, some very light rain, but it's pretty widespread. Then we get into Saturday, Friday night into Saturday. That's when some wraparound moisture comes flying on through, and that'll give us another chance at some light snow with that cold air ushering on in. That'll stick around through Saturday and Sunday before our next front we'll have to watch out toward the west, slides toward us. That'll give us another shot at maybe a little snow. So there's impacts, 2 impacts on snow Friday night into Saturday, and then another one on Sunday. This is a clipper system, just what we went through. Another one looks like it'll come through there on Sunday, and then back behind that, extremely cold temperatures as they slide on in. This may be the coldest air so far this season. So just to wrap this up, rainy system there on Friday, then Saturday and Sunday, light snow possibilities with even the possibility of some accumulation outside. Here's your Twitter pics of the day. Kevin Allen sent this one in from the United States Equestrian Federation headquarters. That's out at the Kentucky Horse Park. Really cool shot. And then another one there in Bath County from Jeff Setters. Jeff, we appreciate it very much. Kevin, thanks a lot. Twitter pics of the day from the snow yesterday. Today at 27, next couple of days in the 40s. Rain on Friday, snow on Saturday and Sunday. And then boom, here comes the Arctic air. 5 degrees there. We have forecasts on Monday morning. That's a big, big temperature swing from even now. I mean, we're at 27 later on this afternoon. 17 next week.
For a high.
Yeah, for a high. Not a low.
Get ready.
Keeps opening that trap door to the
Doesn't
cold.
it?
Doesn't it?
Yeah, just come on in.
Yeah. Micah, thank you so much. Always appreciate you. It's 5:48 on WKYT.
Whether they're in uniform or off-duty military personnel, prepared to act whenever trouble presents itself. That's what happened to an off-duty Oregon National Guardsman.
Last Friday, Jonathan Sweeney was off duty when he spotted an attempted kidnapping. Sweeney says he was walking when he noticed a suspicious man reach down and try to grab a little girl who was being pushed in a stroller by her nanny. Without any hesitation, Sweeney ran after the man, tackled him, and held him there until police arrived. Sweeney says the guard trained him to pay attention to subtle cues that people give off, and he knew right away that the man was planning to do something bad.
He looked at me, said something under his breath. I couldn't really understand what he said, and I just took a few steps past him, turned around, and just watched him drink my coffee. And then once everything started, then I started approaching him once he headed toward the little girl.
Sweeney said he got a big thank you from the nanny when it was all over. Police say the man Sweeney tackled was arrested and is now facing multiple charges.
Well, the world seems like a very dangerous place these days, and it's good to know that those guys are there ready to assist.
Somebody like Sweeney's available,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
You want to know he's got your back, right?
Got it.
Well, coming up, you'll get the stories making news right now.
The time right now is 5:49. We'll also check traffic again, see how things are moving along. We do have some closings and delays. Those are being continuously updated, and it's so good to have you with us here on WKYT. Good morning. We're rolling toward 5:53 in the morning on WKYT on your Wednesday.
Let's take a look right now at some of the stories we're working on for you at this hour.
It's busy for us right now. Lexington police are now investigating the city's 4th homicide of this new year. The latest incident happened at the McDonald's on Russell Cave Road around 9:30 last night. Upon arriving, investigators say 23-year-old Timothy Brown Jr. was found with multiple gunshot wounds. He was rushed to UK hospital, but he died shortly after arriving. As of now, police say no arrests have been made.
President Barack Obama travels to Omaha and Baton Rouge a day after touting his achievements and striking an optimistic tone for the future in his final State of the Union address.
While many Democrats characterized the speech as inspirational, Republican presidential candidates took to Twitter to criticize the president. And South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley won praise for the Republican rebuttal in which she seemed to challenge the divisive rhetoric of GOP presidential frontrunner Donald Trump.
Well, U.S. officials remain confident 10 Navy sailors currently in Iranian custody in the Persian Gulf will be allowed to continue on their journey. They say the American ships suffered mechanical problems. A new study finds a drug used to treat dementia called, I can't even say that, rivastigmine?
It's close to it, yeah.
May help people with Parkinson's disease.
It is promising anyway. Tests show that patients who received the dementia drug were 45% less likely to fall and were steadier while walking.
Well, women with heart failure are less likely than men to receive implanted heart defibrillators because they don't always meet enrollment guidelines. But new research shows both men and women benefit from the implants. The risk of death is 20% lower after 3 years for both men and women. 5:54 is the time this morning. Let's get a check right now. Today's traffic trouble spots. Nothing compared to what we were dealing with yesterday with the snow threat. Today it's really all about the cold. So just keep that in mind as you head out. Maybe get you a warm drink and maybe layer up if you are like me and you get cold really easily. Time to check now what's making news online with Bill.
Well, it's 5:55 right now, and of course it looks like it's going to be a busy day ahead on WKYT.com. We'll follow up on now appears to be the 4th homicide in Lexington already this year. You'll notice there that we have more than 20 delays or closings this morning, so we have the bar up for that. And then there are the details as we have them right now on this apparent homicide at the McDonald's on Russell Cave Road. Our most viewed story right now, the announcement of new flight destinations from Lexington for Allegiant Airlines. They'll be flying directly to Savannah, Hilton Head, that area, and to Washington, D.C. starting in June. Fares as cheap as $39 one way, at least in the beginning. Also trending this morning, the Kentucky Wildcats had to hold off a rally by Mississippi State to pick up an SEC win. The Cats beat the Bulldogs 80-74. Next up for the Cats, a trip to Auburn on Saturday. Well, there's a frenzy over tonight's $1.5 billion Powerball jackpot drawing. People across the country rushing to play, and our web finds a split among those excited. this morning. Some say that's the case. They're ready. They hope to win. Some say they are not. And some say they're simply tired of hearing about it. It's almost a three-way even split there in our web poll this morning. Kentucky.com reports on Senator Dan Symes' bill that would freeze university tuition and fees for 4 years. The Republican says the schools are into castle building, as he calls it, and need to get back to basics. And CBS This Morning is coming up at 7 with your eye-opener and the latest on U.S. sailors being held by Iran and reaction to President Obama's final State of the Union address. Again, that's at 7. Hey, join us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter or Instagram, and for the latest anytime, WKYT.com.
It's 9 degrees right now in Frankfurt, 7 in Florence, the rest of us sitting there, and the teens, central zones, southern zones. We get into the afternoon, 27 degrees. Almost said 47 because we're going to have the 40s as we get into tomorrow. I'll get into that forecast coming up. Another hour of WKYT News, just a couple of minutes.